Good evening, viewers. Hope all of you are doing truly well and trying to take as much care and stay safe as much possible as we completely unlock ourselves to the new normal. While we are doing that, we keep continuing with our every evening series with you, trying to bring you interesting conversations and talks. And today, of course, is the day for beauty with brains and bravery. And I'm back here today, and of course, also with my co host, Meenakshi, who will be accompanying me with a new celebrity sharing her success. And I call her a celebrity because she really is beauty with brains and bravery. And you will learn about it shortly. But while we go with it, I would first like to give you an introduction about our platform. Uh, as some of you might know, but some of you who have joined newly, True Wealth is actually a integrative healthcare initiative guiding patients and healthy individuals to overcome their health concerns and manage self-health to reach the ultimate goal of holistic health and happiness. True Wealth actually aims to separate science from hype by sharing authentic knowledge and wisdom from healthcare and nutrition stalwarts so you can make the right health and nutrition choices. So much so, rightly, actually, beauty with brains and bravery also fits in this separating hype and bringing you the authentic knowledge and authentic experiences of the beauties who have really been successful at their lives. Having said that, a quick note before we begin that this program is actually being organized so that we can actually share information, education, and also experiences with you. However, please do not treat any of these as any sort of personal advice or consultation. For any sort of advice or consultation which you yourself should follow. For that, you may want to reach us on 982004839, or you can also visit our website www.truewealth.in. We would be even happy to connect you with today's celebrity if you would like to connect with her with any advice needed or any questions you may have for her. Also, of course, we will not be giving any information on COVID-19 treatment per se, because that is really something which the hospitals and the doctors who are assigned by authorities, they're the right ones to get the authentic information from. So also now let's learn what beauty, brains, and bravery really is. Do I really need to explain what beauty, brains, and bravery is when there's nothing really needed to be said more after these three words? However, the purpose of this initiative really is to encourage, enrich women so that they can themselves help empower themselves to aspire and excel professionally and personally. The mission is to build a network of world's most sought after women professionals so they could share their knowledge, skills, experiences, opportunities, resources, dreams, aspirations, as well as their challenges, fears, shortcomings, requirements as they pursue a common goal of leading richer, more fulfilling lives. The DTV live programs are really an initiative in this direction by celebrating the successes of women professionals from the world to stir the ecosystem. So we can have more and more Saraswatis, Lakshmis, and Nirbhayas in the world and in our neighborhood. When I say Saraswati's, Lakshmi's, and Nirbhayas, really Saraswati is the idol of knowledge. Lakshmi is the icon of prosperity, and Nirbhayas or Durgas are actually power, bravery, whatever you name it. But if we have more number of them coming out, the world is definitely going to be a better place to live in, a more safer place to live in. So that's our hope, and our that's our desire from the bottom of our heart to be able to help, inspire, assist women across the world to excel professionally and personally. Today's guest really is it's her day, Reema Goyal, and I would like to thank Meenakshi to bring her on board for this show today with us. She's of course a C-suite consultant with over a decade of experience in executive search and leadership advisory across global MNCs like Stanton Chase International and RGF Executive Search. So she has been placing the elite, the top level, management executives in the companies, and she's completed her MSc in HRM from the Cardiff University, Wales in 2005. She began her research career with Stanton Chase International in the capacity of a research consultant, leading the research desk across industry verticals. Eventually graduated to executing critical assignments by engaging with clients and designing effective search strategies for them. After a sabbatical, again for 3 years, and I want you to listen into this because after the sabbatical, she got back in action, and after 3 years, she came back to the search business with RGFs, and she transitioned into a front end assignments role with the clients and winning some big ticket searches. So she was back with a bang. In the 8 years at RGF, she has strong client and candidate relationships in automotive, consumer, GSE, and building materials industry. Her focus has been to help client organizations achieve their strategic goals through intrinsic assessment and bringing on board transformation leaders for niche and high impact roles, both in startup and growth phases. Over the years, she's built a strong network of trusted clients and outstanding business leaders. Her expertise lies in providing a high engagement experience to clients and candidates. She's a full-time mom, daughter, wife, and a travel enthusiast. So presenting Reema Goyal to you, but before we actually uh, get her face to face with you, I would like to give a quick introduction of my co-host. It's a pleasure always to be with Meenakshi. She heads sales at Utamaki PPL Limited, which is one of the most leading packaging companies in India. She's PE Printing Engineering MBS from Chetna College. Earlier, she worked as the Deputy GM with Reliance Retails, HP India, Xerox, and Times of India. Entrepreneur by nature, she is experienced as a professional to set up businesses from concept selling to establishing with right strategy and leading the team for right execution, which is extremely important. She has a strong experience, of course, in client interaction and engagement with the C-level management. So it's going to be a very interesting discussion there, as there would be a lot of talks at the C-level management decision making and leadership roles, etc. on this panel today. I'm happy to share a few words about me. I'm, of course, a nutrition expert and founder of True Wealth, which is an integrative healthcare initiative, and RSG, Energy and Nutrition in Healthcare, which is a nutrition products company. At the same time, I have about 20 years of global experience in business strategy, marketing strategy, branding, market development, also a lot of CME education, and of course, nutrition and nutrition counsel, which is primarily my very passionate work that I do. I have an MSc from the Sion Hospital, and of course an MBA in marketing as well. I've worked with several companies across the world with a stint in New York and also in India. I'm of course speaker at quite a few conferences and patient programs, and of course this is an initiative which is very close to my heart, Beauty with Brains. And which I did start years ago. But I don't want to talk too much about myself. I would first immediately like to bring in today's guest. Reema, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show today with us. Meenakshi, it's always a pleasure to co-host programs with you. But I would like Reema to say a few words before we really, uh, I mean, we are very excited to ask you a lot of questions, but before that, if you want to say something to the viewers before we begin the program.
Thanks a lot.
Rima,
It is an absolute
uh,
pleasure for me to have been given this platform by Meenakshi and you, Rajashree. It is an absolute delight to be part of an initiative like what the two of you have set forth to achieve. I strongly believe in supporting the narrative of women empowerment and enabling more and more women to get into mainstream professions and in general achieving things that are really close to them and mean most to them. So first of all, thank you and Meenakshi the most for providing me this platform. It's really an honor to be here.
It's our pleasure. Meenakshi, do you want to say a few words?
yeah, definitely. Yes, Rajshri. Welcome, Rima, to this panel. So, really excited to have you here. Rajshri, I think we have completed the panel today. You being an entrepreneur, I being a sales professional, and she
Yes.
being a search consultant. So, it's
Yes.
a
Yes.
complete
Definitely.
ecosystem that we have really. So,
Absolutely.
Rima, I think for the first time, Rajshri, we are having Rima as a personality who is going to speak more from the search segment,
Yes.
because that's, I think, very interesting for all women, especially since it's a woman forum. So to know what is happening at that level. So because sometimes we as when we actually look out for jobs, we don't know what's going on in the corporates, what is the prerogative, what should we be really doing. So I think Rima is going to get us there and give us the right perspective of what everyone should rather focus on. So welcome, Rima, here on the show today. Nice to have you. And since Rajshri has done the honors of giving a brief introduction about you, but I just would like to summarize Rima as a personality, what I have known her for some time now. A working woman and a mother juggling between her family and work still carries an exciting smile on her face,
Oh,
a smile of
wow.
achievement that she meets her colleagues and smile of contentment when her baby cuddles her arms. So that's about all women, rather, I would say.
That's
Nothing
true
can
to
be
any
more
woman.
enticing, yeah, than her priceless attitude. So it goes for all women. So all yours, Rima. So let's start the session now. So we would like to know more about your achievements, your challenges, piece of advice for all women out of your experiences, and what they should be focusing on.
So
Yeah, good to go.
absolutely. Thanks so much. So I'll probably take a step or two backwards. In fact, probably take you to the beginning of it all. I think where one is in life is truly a reflection of where one has come from, right? So it all goes back to your roots, your upbringing, your parents, and that I think is core to every individual. Not very different with me. I belong to a very typical Indian middle class working family with very humble and modest roots. My parents, my grandparents worked very hard to bring, the bread and butter to the table, many a times the jam to the table, and equally contributed to the domestic responsibilities and duties. So work wasn't really assigned basis your gender per se, but everyone worked harmoniously and cohesively and divided and shared all the responsibilities at home. Also interestingly enough, uh, my, my family is a very culturally diverse family. So we are a bunch of, Tamilians and Marathis and Konkanis and Marwadis. And, what I'm trying to say is from a very early age, perhaps virtues like secularism, non-discrimination, inclusiveness, empowerment was all probably embedded at a very early stage in life. I always knew that sooner or later I will grow up and, get into being a very independent woman, a woman who was encouraged at home to, have a mind of her own, be opinionated many times. At the same time, provided all the opportunities that I wanted from an academic perspective, or say from a young girl's perspective. Nothing was really denied. And I can't thank my parents enough. In fact, thank you is not the right word. I guess we as parents, when you become parents, you realize what really your parents did for you, right? So I think they provided me a fantastic platform. I knew sooner or later, I am going to kind of move out, carve an own independent path for myself. And along the way, also get to touch and impact other people's lives and kind of bring about a positive impact in their lives. Again, growing up, college days were absolutely phenomenal. I had some fantastic bunch of friends, very inspiring, very aspirational, very competitive. And, all of this kind of really sets you up for good things in life. It really sets you up for wanting things out of life, gives you a clarity of what you want out of life, and gives you that passion to go for it and achieve it. So I can't thank, all of this, and I probably consider myself absolutely privileged to have this kind of a background and an upbringing. So perhaps, like you said, I did my graduation in management. I went on to do my post-graduation again in HRM. There, of course, comes a point in time when you kind of get to, decide for yourself what is it that you want to do professionally, right? Which stream, which course, which path. And I recall having come back from Cardiff, I stumbled upon this opportunity of executive search, which was very new to me at that point in time. I had kind of heard it in bits and pieces, but never really knew, what it really entails. So after a lot of, understanding and connecting with people, connecting with, other learned people in your circle, I got to know that, simply put, executive search is nothing but headhunting, right? It is a client servicing field. So you actually are a search partner and more so a knowledge partner to your client organization. You kind of understand a specific leadership requirement at their end and how this requirement is positioned to further their business interests and their business objectives, right? And you kind of dovetail their requirements, come up with your search strategy, come up with, you're typically in a very advisory and a consultative mode with your clients, right? They look up to you to provide, to kind of give them the direction in terms of where do you go for looking for this particular niche or strategic talent, right? So that is perhaps one side or one aspect to executive search. And the other interesting aspect is that you're also a trusted partner to the entire ecosystem of candidates, right? You're providing them with a career-changing opportunity. And by that means, you're actually providing and enabling a life-changing opportunity for them, because every change in job brings about a change in your life, right? It impacts your immediate ecosystem, your family, your children, right? So I always viewed this job as a very impactful job. I always felt that a job of this nature or a profession of this nature really has the ability to cater to an organization and enable them to achieve their objectives. At the same time, support and bring about a very positive and a life-changing opportunity in another candidate's life, right? So I thought of absolutely deep diving into a profession like this because at a very early stage in life, I realized that people issues and any profession which has got to do with impacting someone's life would really be the profession for me. So when I stumbled upon an opportunity in executive search, I grabbed it. Like you said, and thanks for that wonderful introduction to me in the beginning. Like I said, I started off as a research consultant, so that really enables or that really entails you to kind of understand the market very well. You understand various organizations, their financials, their strategies, their mottos, their visions. At the same time, you get to interact with a plethora of people on a day-to-day basis. Try and understand what drives them, what are their aspirations, how can you bring about a small change in their life. And that's how the journey started, and it's been roughly about 13 years now, having worked with some of the best names in the industry, having worked with some wonderful colleagues, mentors. It's been an absolute joyride, learning all through and, making the most out of every small, trivial as well as big experience in this journey.
Riva, thank you for this perspective about your profile and the industry. What I'm really keen to understand is that you had a sabbatical, right?
Right.
And how difficult was it for you to come back and restart your journey in the profession? Because most of times I see a woman, one little scared of coming back. Second is the acceptance after sabbatical looks very difficult at the
Yeah.
professional, at the corporate level.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, right? I mean, typically with women, your bio clock and your career clocks just about the time your career starts to blossom is the time
Yes,
when on the personal front there are other
absolutely right.
priorities which you want to kind of give attention to. So yes, I took a conscious break. It was a very thought after and a very natural decision, I would say. It wasn't really you know this is something that I have to do. It was something that came very organically to me, right? So when I got pregnant and I was on the family way, I consciously chose to decide to kind of stay back at home for the initial few years with my baby, with my son, because I wanted to soak up all the love, all the motherhood experiences that I could. And I was obviously wanting to wait and wanting to, I was constantly eyeing an opportunity of when I could immediately get back, because I knew that a lot of gap will also tend to dampen and hamper the growth prospects, right? So there came a time where my son started spending more hours at school. He was just about 2.5, and play schools here in Chennai, kind of consume half of your day, right? And post that, once the kid returns, he's tired, he's exhausted, so he kind of sleeps for the next few hours. So I very well knew that I started seeing about 6 hours of productive time of the day that I could utilize in doing something which will fuel and channel my aspirations further. So after having worked for an initial period of 3 years, I took a break of 2.5 years, and you're absolutely right. Things do get difficult because for me, even after 5 years of having kind of been employed and started working, I was still very much at the same level where I was, in terms of your positioning, in terms of your designation, and so on and so forth, right? But it was a conscious choice. I knew that you can't have it all, right? There are certain things which you will need to prioritize, and once you are confident and capable, and once you're on a stable path there, then you kind of move back and then focus on yourself and your aspirations. So yes, it was difficult. It was extremely difficult, but I think it is difficult for one and all. I'm sure you as women have also kind of gone through a similar journey. May not be just kids, but there are so many other things that kind of come our way, which we need to prioritize. All I feel is it is important to sometimes be fierce, sometimes be fearless, and at the same time, accept that there would be flaws. There are times that you're going to fail, but kind of accept it, pull up yourselves, and continue and move on. All I knew, another important aspect is a job like this, the nature of my profession, is not a typical 9 to 5 kind of a job, right? Because you've got to be available to your clients or your candidate, say post evening hours, which are convenient times for them to kind of interact with you and give you, share their experiences and so on. So it is important to constantly juggle that balance. You're like I always feel, a working woman is nothing but a juggler. She knows very well after a period of time to juggle between mom and dad, husband, in-laws, children, and yourself, because you're also your own person, right? At the end of the day, it's important to be carving out time for yourself, because unless you do that, you're not going to be able to give enough to your ecosystem. And if you're not happy, they aren't happy, right? So
Absolutely.
So,
I agree.
my question I have in through this is, of course, you did get to the point that you bounced back, and you bounced back so well. In fact, you did more great work. You were able to juggle all this. But in this jugglery, two things. I mean, both, of course, related to ourselves. And does it happen so that if you were not to juggle so many things, would you probably have been able to take up a more front end, a more a more rigorous job, or maybe a higher leadership position, just maybe like Meenakshi is doing right now? You could have probably done that. Or on the other hand, do you also think that while we're juggling all this, because you're not doing anything less than a leadership position. In fact, placing leaders in the organizations. Does it happen that everyone else gets the time and you don't get that me time to focus on yourself at all?
So, Rajashree, I have thoroughly enjoyed the process of juggling, right? It has been crazy, manic.
I know.
And, everyone around you tends to be the punching bag on days which are not going your way. And, only women, only few women will understand
Only we know,
that
right?
paranoia, right? So, yes, I mean, it's not been easy, but I have thoroughly enjoyed handling that chaos and that mayhem. When I look back at it now, I don't know how that time flew by,
Yeah.
right? Of course, all of this doesn't work if you don't have the support of your ecosystem, right? It doesn't work if you don't have a supportive husband or your child, because at the end of the day, the kid also has his or her own personality and his or her own demands, from the mother. But believe you me, I feel kids are extremely understanding and accommodative from that standpoint. So, like I said, I have thoroughly enjoyed that juggling and that mayhem. I have no regrets that I kind of, yes, okay, let me also, put it out there that perhaps I kind of slowed the pace of my career, but it was a conscious decision. It was a decision that I took, and I have no regrets about that. I knew that sooner or later, the momentum could be increased, and that's exactly where I am today, right? So these are things that one really has to balance out. And apart from that, this whole plethora of guilt that is kind of
Yes.
embedded in us as women, right? I mean,
Yes.
we're either it is your own latent guilt, or it is your people around you that
Around
are
you.
constantly making you feel that, and for lack of a better word, rubbing it in there. But
Yeah.
but you really have to develop your own coping mechanisms. You really
Right.
have to kind of develop a thick skin, right?
Yes.
Because deep down at the core of it what works for you and what works for
Correct.
your family. right? And nothing else should matter beyond that, right? The ones who support you, who focus,
Yeah.
who give you all that strength are the ones that you need to cater to. And as long as everything's fine in that space, then you're good to go. You would just
Yeah.
power on and you would just motor on. So I think it's important to prioritize your priorities.
Yeah.
Like I said, forget the guilt. It is easier said than done. I know it. I still
Yes.
live with a lot of guilt even now, right? But it takes one woman to another woman. Luckily, I'm
Yeah.
surrounded by some very encouraging and supportive women. And these are often conversations that we women tend to engage in, right? And you
Yeah.
kind of draw strength from one another.
Right.
And that is key. It is important to keep your eyes open, your ears open, learn from others' experiences, see
Absolutely.
people around you. I mean, we have domestic helps at home, right? Their majority of them are women. I mean, look at the way they're working women. They may not be working in
Yeah.
a blue collar job or a white collar job, or in the comforts of an MNC organization, but they do it themselves.
Yeah.
So uh, you know it's just about juggling. It's just about bringing up that balance. Sometimes it comes to you very naturally. Sometimes you have to go through a lot of mayhem and a lot of chaos to get there,
Yeah.
but you've got to enjoy the process. You've really got to enjoy the process. And there's another thing that I really believe, there are a lot of times that people tell you that you can't have it all, or
Yeah. Yep.
or
Yes.
you've got to be wise. You've got to let this go, and I don't
Yeah,
really
I
believe
was
in
I
that.
was just about to say that to and you came to the word. I was just going to say let go is something we need to learn, and the other, of course, what you said, that you need to take conscious steps and conscious decisions, and go towards it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And trust me, ladies, there is no fixed nomenclature to this. There is no magic formula here of how this happens. I believe it just happens. You just have to make it happen. You have to be fearless. Like I said, you would have to be fierce at times. You would have to accept your own flaws and accept those failures as well at times. But the idea is to power on, to keep your motor running, to keep it going for you, right? So as long as you have that going for you, as long as you believe that you want to make it happen, you want to work it out, it will work out sooner or later. I think that is what is key. It is important not to let go. It is
Right.
important to continue the efforts. And
Right.
it is very important to have the right support system
Right.
and the right bunch of influencers around you, right? Anything which doesn't influence you in the positive way should be kept out, should be really kept out of the window and not brought in.
Meenakshi is smiling. Meenakshi, do you want to add something
I'm
to it?
sure.
Because
Yes,
I know you
yes.
want to add something to this.
No, what I was actually trying to really put up here is, Rashri, if you see some of the earlier panels we had, all the women, I think the common buzzword coming out of all these panel discussions is one: be fearless, be confident, be focused, and just stop being guilty. So I think
Absolutely.
that's commonly coming up in with all the women we have interacted who are successful, who are just there. Okay, they have not given up. So the biggest mantra I think we all should carry forward is that don't give up. There would be hurdles. There would be times where you really are juggling, I think, the most, and you're not sure whether this juggle is worth it, but we feel that no, we cannot let it go, because
Absolutely.
opportunities don't knock your door every time rather.
Yeah.
And women who have been successful, Rima, like you, I see a common synergy there, that they have not given up in spite of all the odds in life,
Absolutely.
whatever you might call it as. But there has been a common buzzword around all the panels which we had is they never gave up. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
women, I think what Rajshri really started with is they are Durgas, they are Saraswatis, they are everything, because I think
Totally.
we have the strength to manage all the chaotic situations, to manage
Absolutely.
all the odds of, and still keep your face up. Even if you are crying inside, you would still go out,
Absolutely.
give a good smile, and come back home with
I think we
then
are we
another.
are We are blessed that way. We are
Absolutely.
inherently and genetically modified to be multitasking, to be, to be juggling, to be doing everything. I mean, look at uh, just look at women who are probably not even stepping out of home, who are not probably employed professionally. But generally, I mean, if we've seen all our parents, all the generation of women before us, I mean, they're juggling constantly. It is not, it is only the women who kind of bring that skill set to the table. And if you do have your aspirations in the right place, then the only way to kind of and achieve them is to make up your mind and go out there, because the world is your home. Then you can
I want
just
to say
about take
Hang
something.
on.
anything.
I'm itching to say something out here because what you said is absolutely right, and the other thing is you said they don't want to step outside. We don't even need to step outside. Actually, if we all have seen in this through this COVID
Absolutely.
pandemic, imagine I'm sitting here every evening trying to do these wonderful talks with so many wonderful people, just learning, gaining so much. Giving so much to the society. Apart from that, running any sort of work and business from home, I'm of course sure, Reema, there's a lot that you can do in your profession from home. Meenakshi might have not thought that she would be doing so much of it from home, being a front-end professional, but imagine how much we've been doing. So,
Absolutely.
I think this, though it's not a very good thing, but the pandemic has really given us women a
Yes.
lot of these opportunities where even being at home, being with our family, being without
Absolutely.
the house help support that you're talking about, we are able to achieve so much. So I think
I think the last 6-8 months we've all been multitasking to the to the core. It is working not 9 to 5, like Meenakshi and I were just talking before our session started, that it's probably working 9 to 12 now at every odd hour. You've just completed your meal, but you're going back to finish that one call. You're sitting and doing some math homework and you're gone back to doing another call, and so on and so forth. So I
and
think
that
it's those women that
by
move.
that time is the time for the next meal. So it's like
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
madness. Yeah, yeah.
Rima,
Very true.
uh, just something which is bothering me a lot since you come from that background. So I am really keen to understand this. It's though bizarre, but why are there's so few women in positions of power? So it's really bizarre though, but I just want to understand your perspective about it since you are at that level, you interact with a lot of corporates. So why has been this that there are very few women on power?
Well, to be honest, Meenakshi, I think somewhere it is the ecosystem which has not been facilitating. And many a times it is also we as women tend to undermine and undervalue our potential.
Right.
Sometimes we feel that, like I said, we are not fearless. We feel that maybe this is going to entail too much of our time. This is, going to take me away from doing XYZ opportunities or priorities. And that's why we kind of don't take that bold step to power on and go ahead and take on the next level for us. Sometimes it is also the narrative of for instance, today a lot of organizations have moved on to diversity and inclusion kind of agendas. A lot of companies today are consciously making an attempt to increase the diversity at the leadership level. And I can say that because I'm extremely close to that initiative in the market today. So that is happening somewhere today. I do feel we are miles away from there. But like I said, the inherent quality in us to constantly have self-doubt, not value ourselves and our potentials enough, is something which perhaps limits us ourselves in kind of going on and taking and scaling up the organization ladder. So I would feel that it really requires a lot of inherent strength, a lot of support from the ecosystem to kind of enable more and more and more women to get out there and do what they want to do. you know
Uh,
From my
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
Sorry.
I do
no, no,
have a view on
please.
this. So I
I also,
I have a
yeah, please.
contrary view on this. I mean, I know where Rima is coming from, and she's absolutely right that the entire ecosystem should be supporting each other, but it doesn't happen that way because our societies haven't been brought up that way. We are supposed to, no matter what, we're supposed to be handling. Yesterday, I was just hearing into a seminar organized by the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Foundation and talking about atrocities against women, etc. The lady speaking there actually was extremely knowledgeable and experienced. So the way she was talking about, societies have never learned that we are supposed to be when it comes to home, we are the one who should be taking care of all the responsibilities. And
Yes.
now what has happened is if you're working outside, then the outside responsibilities are also on us. So but when it comes to support, the support never really can come in that way. If it comes, yes, there are families who excellently support. Our families have been supporting, which is why I think we got educated
Absolutely.
as much and have come to this level. But having said that, I think we women should be brought up with an attitude that the support's not going to be there. I think men are sort of brought up with that attitude that they're going to be supporting the family. They're going to be the ones who are going to be the front end and taking the brunt. I think women should sort of also be brought up that way, saying that you're going to be alone. There's no one who's going to be supporting you. Even then, you have to be able to achieve whatever you are. Once you're prepared for that, then I guess yeah, you
Don't
get
you
support or
feel
you don't. You're. I'm not saying that support shouldn't be there. The support, if the support is there, we can go much higher. But regardless, I think it doesn't dampen our might in us to go forward. That's what I think.
very true? I couldn't agree more with you. I certainly feel I think that is true women empowerment, right? When you empower your girls
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
very early age in life to kind of, you know, uh, decide something for herself
right,
and, give her the power to kind of go through all the hurdles, irrespective of, what your ecosystem may think or not think about that. But as long as you believe in it at the core of it, then you should absolutely set forth and go ahead achieving. But uh, Rajshri, Meenakshi, I see a lot of change in the coming generations.
yes,
I see a lot of families today, and that is thanks to women of our generation, and in fact, thanks to the women
correct,
even before us who have kind
yeah,
of done that, paved the way for us. And I constantly believe that we have the power to change things for the coming generations, which we are doing. And I see the next generation of women. I see the parents. I see the entire narrative being changed. Women are given that confidence. Women are given that power to be an individual of their own. They are given that power to exercise your own free will. I mean, that is what is empowerment, right? Empowerment is not necessarily just financial independence. Empowerment is just a situation where you could exercise your own free will because you know what is right for you and you don't need
right,
someone to tell you that it is not right for you, right? So
true,
I do
true,
see that change in the society. I do see that not just girls of the next generation. I mean, being a parent to a boy child, I see myself doing that, having that conversation with my son where the expectation setting has to be placed
Absolutely.
correctly
I,
at this stage.
yep,
And I see that happening. I see a lot and lot of young kids, be it boys or girls, who are kind of fed, into knowing that domestic responsibilities as well as external working is gender neutral. It's irrespective of whether you're a girl or a boy or anything of that nature. So yes, I do see a lot of change happening, and I would I would owe it a lot to our earlier generations and to us as women who've kind of done that and given perhaps that strength and that example to few others to look at us, and think that hey, if she can do it, I could do it too.
yeah. Did you
So
want to
yes,
comment
thanks.
on it,
Yeah,
Meenakshi?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm just holding back myself. No, thanks, Rajashree and Reema, to get the right perspective. In fact, really loved every single sentence you both ladies said. Just to add to what you said is that I personally, this is my personal perspective, that the lack of a woman in position of power isn't solely because of the systematic prejudice and oppression that so often holds us back. It is also because of that, regardless of gender, you have been to be a bit insane. When I say insane, you got. I have two reasons to say that you got to be insane. How hard you have to work to get to the top
Yes.
is one of the things, and the
Right.
second fact is that the fact that you have to accept that you have to have a courage to get disliked, because what most of us really don't like is that
Yes.
my boss is not liking me,
Yeah.
she is not liking me, he is not liking me. So I think if you just get out of that, that's also something which will help women to come up.
Absolutely. Like I said, you have to be fierce and fearless.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
They're
absolutely.
two sides of
Just
the
be
same
brutal.
coin.
Right.
Just
You
be
have to
brutal.
be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you are going to ruffle feathers
Yes.
somewhere down the line. But then, it is those same people who would see your success and then also comment on
Yes.
and congratulate you for your success. So it's all a perspective. It's all a matter of time. Once you're successful, no one really cares what feathers you ruffled, right?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I
So
I, I couldn't agree more.
So coming to really, I mean, since we're talking about the leadership roles and perspectives, I wanted to ask you, what are the kind of, attributes, values, skills, what is the sort of balance that you see in the candidates on, where you're choosing, when you've seen candidates going to real leadership positions, which are those the kind of attributes and values which play a role, and also, are they changing over a period? Are they going good, bad? What is your observational experience?
Absolutely. I think over the last, say, 10 to 15 years, things have changed. Yes. The expectations from clients have changed with regards to what they seek in their leaders, right? And I think, I mean, apart from the functional skill sets and your technical alignment and all of that, I think what is most important at any given point in time is to ensure, an absolute matching of culture. Every organization brings its own culture, brings its own, nuances, and it's important that the candidates that you kind of identify should blend into that culture. Because, see, like I said at the beginning, it's a career defining and a career changing moment, for people. So it is important to enable the candidate to land up in a happy job. He has to go back home happy. It's not just the money. You would get your compensation in another organization as well. But if you don't align with your immediate leaders, with your immediate stakeholders, if you don't align with the culture, then there is a then there could be an issue and a challenge. And hence I feel that cultural alignment is extremely important. One of the most important things in today's time and age is that, you know decision making across organizations has got extremely matrixed, and there are many stakeholders to a given decision, be it business or be it any strategic decision in the organization. So I think stakeholder management skills, stakeholder influencing skills, and networking skills are getting increasingly important. The ability to keep most of your stakeholders, in sync with you, in sync with your views and opinions and your strategies and plans is important. I think, I mean, apart from that, of course, the entire gamut of there is always a textbook candidate. There is always your
Yeah. Right.
your IIT and your IIM candidates, who kind of
Yeah.
immediately get through the door. But apart from that, I think sometimes it's just the body of work that the individual brings to the table, the experience that he carries. How rich is that experience? If you position candidates basis the richness and the depth and the quality of his experience, that is also something that companies today look for. Initially, it was more oriented towards a couple of ticks in the boxes, like MBA done, engineering done, and say 10 years, 15 years of experience done. This is the kind of guy that we want. Mota moti, हाँ हमको ये बंदा चाहिए. This is the guy. But that has changed over a period of time because people have realized that you're not just viewing your people or your employees as a cost center, but you're rather investing in them, and hence it is important to get the right return on investment. And that not just necessarily means tangible returns, but there are intangible results as well, in terms of blending into the culture, being a mentor, being a leader to your team, how well you handle challenges, complex situations, with the least possible collateral damage. These are a couple of attributes that organizations today really look for and look at in their candidates.
So
And it is evolving.
I
It
have
is
a
evolving
question to
day in and day
both
out.
of I have a question to both of you. In fact, not just Reema, because I think Meenakshi should give inputs on this. So, when you're talking about so many different attributes, evolving attributes, the way organizations are maturing in selecting the candidates, where do women fall in this? And, what are the sort of couple of attributes which both of you think women should sort of garner now, or at least work on those, so that they can actually get to the leadership positions.
Uh, Rima, you would like to go, or
Oh, go
should I
on, go
take
on.
up?
Yeah, go on. Please go on.
Well, we want to hear from you. You're right there, and
Absolutely.
you see I know, Meenakshi, you have very very good opinions on that front. So, want you to really
Because this is what I deal every day.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, Rajashree, if you ask me personally, it's my personal opinion though. But what I strongly feel for a woman, what is very, very important is if you have to be in a leadership role, so taking on more responsibilities means you are going to be taking more tough decisions, the tough ones, which we as women always
Yes.
fear to take those tough decisions, okay, and be accountable for them. Okay, so that's what makes you as a true leader, besides all the qualities what Rima said. Because if you are a leader, if you are taking decision whether right or wrong, you got to be accountable for it. Okay, and being decisive means that you can't really make everybody happy, because what most of us feel, always we have a fear that, oh, I'm going to make him unhappy, I'm going to not make. So regardless of that, we should be taking the right decision, which is going to be beneficial for the organization and for yourself, is what I feel is the biggest trait a woman should always carry with her if she wants to be in the top leadership position. Yes, mentoring, being blending with the organization, these are also, because I think that is the personal trait we all as women possess. But what we really as a woman don't possess is that when we go to tough decisions, because then we put decisions saying that you take, because I won't be able to counter him. So
Right.
this is what is my personal opinion about leadership for a woman.
Also, to add on to that, Meenakshi, the organization and its workforce and its employees uh, also have to have that kind of maturity to
Right.
accept those decisions coming down from a woman leader, right? So
Yeah.
that that is where culture, that is where the organizations, thoughts, their views, and the overall, beliefs of the organization will matter, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
you could get to becoming the CEO, but your your finance manager, or say your factory manager, or say your HR manager has to be willing to take down those decisions and those instructions from you, right? So it is, we are getting there. I would certainly feel there are organizations which have kind of, which are evolving, which are going up their maturity curve, because today a lot of organizations believe that diversity, gender diversity in their leadership positions, kind of gives them a competitive advantage. It
Right.
kind of, instills and brings up a culture of
Yep.
celebrating employee differences. It decreases the discrimination. It increases workforce sensitivity, right? So a lot
Absolutely.
of organizations have, understood that and kind of drive these agendas very strongly as we speak.
Well,
Absolutely agree
I
with you.
I wanted to add a few points as well out here because I think it's a great discussion. Both of you have really brought great points to the table, and I think women out there, not even women, even the men have a lot to learn out of this because these are all attributes all of us nearly need to work on, and which I think somewhere as an entrepreneur and a business owner myself now, I think what Meenakshi said is right. You can't make everyone happy, but I think what women lack a little bit, which I think at times I'm looking at it from my perspective, is that we have to be very objective oriented. I think.
Yeah,
We're very creative. We are very good at what we do, but sort of being very objective about what you're doing, having a long-term vision, because again, that is something because we are so stuck up in our personal side of it that from the career perspective, so at times we don't have long-term vision. Also from the perspective of where we are working, I think we need to have that, and then make sure that finances match with it, because I think finance is another area which women are not taught, or I mean, you ask
I
maximum
agree.
number of women, we don't even manage our
Yes,
home finances. I think
yes, I do
we need to
agree.
make sure execution is something I think we are very good at, because we can be multitaskers. We can actually be
Yes,
much more excellent than people. And I think one more thing which we could efficiently do, and I think which is the most important prerogative of a leader, is really nurturing our next level. If we are able
yeah.
to nurture our next level, then those are the people who are going to follow us, and more are going to follow them, and that's how our leadership sort of becomes very prominent. I think these
absolutely.
are some things we need to work on, this from my perspective. Yeah,
Absolutely. You
Meenakshi,
got a
what's
very
Abs-
interesting point about financial knowledge and financial education. I think, like you said, most women that I have seen or known aren't really involved in those core financial, say, decisions or investments, even with regards to your own home, right?
right?
You kind of leave that to the male counterparts, and you focus on the administration and the
Correct.
overall
Yes.
working, etc., of the home. And I think that is important. That is something, yes, which perhaps need to change, and I feel is changing. I feel there are a lot of women today who kind of have crossed those barriers and those boundaries, and kind of get absolutely hands-on involved with regards to future investments and long-term plans of the family and yourself, and so on and so forth, right? There are a lot of women leaders today in finance as a profession, right? You
yeah,
may find very few on the manufacturing side, but there are a lot of women on sales, in finance, in HR, of course. That is something that is very comfortable and is like a home run for most women, because connecting with people, understanding people issues and challenges comes very easily
Right.
to women. I mean, I'm not trying to be make a stereotypical
No, but this is
comment here,
excellent.
but
This is
I
this
would
is
tend to
exactly what we
feel
want
that,
to hear.
yeah, I mean, I would tend to feel that women,
Yes.
these are aspects that come very naturally to women, and certain aspects which don't come naturally should be consciously taught and instilled and inculcated in them, because that is what makes you empowered, and that is what we're talking about. Right?
Right. Meenakshi, did you want to say something? I think you wanted to add something there.
no, I think I'm done. So
Well,
I
I think
said it
I
the
I think we
most
brought a lot of
because
points
you, yes,
to the table,
Vika,
really.
you both covered a lot on this one. So let me
Yeah.
leave it here.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to throw a couple of questions more at Reema, because very interesting, very mature inputs that we've really gotten from
Absolutely.
you, Reema. I mean,
There is a lot that I'm getting to learn as well from you. A lot of perspectives which probably I, have slipped my mind, which I'm kind of also mentally noting down, because it is important. It is important to incorporate all of these and keep evolving and making yourself better.
yeah, yeah.
Rima, just a question again for you, because you would get a lot of insights on this one. Uh, what, according to you, should be the careers or segments where women should focus more?
Yes, yeah,
Which
right.
segments? You
To be
spoke
honest,
about, yeah,
to be honest, I don't really look at it that way. I mean, I feel there is no stopping for women across any sector or any segment or any job, for that matter. But Like you said, perhaps we need more representation of women. Say, for instance, even in politics, for that matter, right? We as women could perhaps contribute more towards the building up of this nation in terms of improving the administration, in terms of understanding so many pain points that our bureaucracy and our administration perhaps is going through. I think women can really make a huge impact
Absolutely.
in politics, in of course, organizations, of course, multinational corporations, Indian conglomerates, so on and so forth. So I personally feel there is nothing restrictive and prohibiting a woman today, and I wouldn't like to think of this is what she needs to do more, or this is what she needs to do less. That's not how I think. I would feel that in general, women should be representing many professions more and more, because I mean, there is no comparison to the capabilities and to the sensitivity and to the multitasking abilities that a woman can bring to the table, to the maturity, to the ability the ability of handling the emotional quotients and the intelligent quotients and balancing between the two. I don't think there is anything that's stopping women. That's how I look at it.
Well, Meenakshi,
And
that's really to your point when you said when we started the program itself in the beginning, you were trying to say that she's HR, you're
Yeah.
sales, and I'm business. So where is really the topic? I mean, yeah, we've all these attributes that we three women are working on already, and there are so many more that working on so many different things. I totally agree with you, Rima. I mean, I think we should at least work with the consciousness that that nothing's going to stop us. The moment we start
Right.
thinking that this is probably going to this is something I love, but I'm not sure if I will be able to handle it all my life. That's where I guess the jostle, the fight really within
Absolutely.
starts, and then that's somewhere going to
This whole
the
fear of
universe.
whether I will be able to pursue this through my life,
Yes, yes,
through later stages when I grow up and all, should be out of the window.
yes,
Yes, you can pursue everything you want to pursue as long as you want to do it.
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely,
you will meet people along the way. You will make friends. You will meet your future partner along the way who will dive into that that vision and mission of yours, and will enable and encourage that.
yeah,
I'm sure all of us second that. We've obviously can't achieve so many things if we wouldn't have had that kind of support from our spouses, from our children, from our families. That goes without saying. But at the base of it, you've got to drive that. You've got to show that passion. You've got to
yeah.
show that fire in you, like Meenakshi said, to get out there and do what you want to do for yourself.
Sure,
or
totally.
bang on, Rima. Absolutely bang on.
Yeah, the fire
Really liked
aspect came.
every, yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm so
and
No,
then
glad. I'm
as
so
you
glad
rightly
we.
said, as
mhm,
you
Yeah.
rightly said, Rima, most of us, I'm saying me as a woman, when I
yes,
started my career, I always had a fear that if I pursue this, whether I would be able to reach top, because that's mostly the fear with most of the women. Like I'm talking about myself, and I was working in Times of India. Since I was working on shop floor, uh, beyond certain time of period when I was working there, I felt that probably I'll not be able to reach top because one, it's a shop floor job. I would definitely, I will have to stay late night hours, so I will not be able to make it to the top. So then I decided that uh, I should change my line. Then I went
yeah,
into product management and all that. So most of the times I would say, I'm saying talking about myself, I made those decisions because I thought that yes, if I have to be in career, I have to take those right decisions in my life
I know.
yeah.
I
where
know.
I can balance my life, I can balance my family, I can balance my career as well, and at the same time achieve what I want to achieve.
Totally.
I mean, there is something that I'd like to ask you, Meenakshi, and that is largely because, you're there are very few women in on the shop floor, right?
Right.
Very few women representing manufacturing as a sector. It must have been very difficult when you started. There must have been a lot of stereotypes and a lot of glass ceilings that you would have had to break. I'm sure it has not been easy. It has probably been relatively easier for someone like me because the profession that I represent is very supportive and encouraging towards women.
Right.
It is way easier than what it would have been for someone like you. And why don't you talk about some of that? I mean, how did you go about breaking all those challenges? And it must have been
Uh,
crazy.
Definitely, Rima, it was not easy. It was definitely not easy. When I started my career after I finished my engineering from Pune and I got recruited by Times of India. In fact, in my earlier show, I was talking about my experience. I was the first lady in the history of Times of India to be selected in the production department in the history of Times of India. So I was
Okay.
supposed to be working with workers. I'm talking about year 1995. I started my career. So for me, acceptance of that class and all male dominated people, acceptance of a just fresher coming out of college and trying to
Yeah.
teach them what are the do's and
Yeah.
don'ts. It was
And a
absolutely
woman.
difficult, and that to a woman. Okay, so it was absolutely very very difficult. Second difficulty, which I would like to speak about, is when I was being asked to do multiple shifts, night shifts, day shifts, and morning shifts. I had times where I was actually standing on the shop floor on the press during the night with all the workers around. And trust me, now I can talk about it. I was shit scared. I was shit scared with approximately 100 to 200 people around me. And I am alone wearing a boiler suit and working on the press with them, loading a newspaper, doing everything whatever male personnel would do. So these were some of the really. I think that I was just trying to get my courage by just thinking that I'm here for a specific motto. I never let that down. So I was not getting defocused with what I had. A lot of problems. I wouldn't like to speak about that, but yes, a lot of distractions, a lot of people trying to put me down, but I never gave up. I was bang on because of my personal reasons also that I wanted to work. Second is that I had just come to Bombay wanting to make my career in Bombay. When I came to Bombay, a lot of people said you won't be able to survive. Bombay is not an easy city. But it was just that I was strong headed that I want to make a mark for myself in Bombay. So
Enough and more people to feed you doubt. But
right,
always enough
absolutely
and more
everybody,
people who
and
give you the
when
constant
you are
appetite, a constant diet of doubt.
especially when you're working with illiterate people, all workers. So it was more difficult for me to get along with them, to make them work for me, for my concepts, for my success. So absolutely difficult. Then I moved on to a sales career, again a field job where I was being asked to go to each copy shop on the roadside and meet them for selling the high end Xerox printers. So first, for them to accept me as a girl, sales girl, coming to door to door and selling them the copiers.
Yeah.
Most of the times, I was being asked to come late in the night, meet them because that's when they would close their shops and speak to me. So I was just talking to my husband sometime back that we both have sacrificed a lot for not our careers. I would not say careers, but for our well-being and just make us achieve our goals and dreams. So I had probably late night hours, midnight. I used to come back home after closing deals with customers. So it's been a tough journey for me as well because I really worked in all the male dominated uh,
Absolutely.
profiles. But as you rightly said, Prima, if you have the courage, if you are fearless, and you have the focus and confidence that you want to do it, I think nothing is impossible.
Right. Right. You
Totally,
just
and
have to make it happen and want to make it
Yeah.
happen.
yeah, and like you both said, I mean, there should, fear and being fierce, both. I mean, you have to. I think Meenakshi is sort of the living example of it.
Absolutely.
That, and
Absolutely.
I mean, there are of course leeways which you can take as an entrepreneur as me, but it doesn't leave you out anyway, especially when you're running businesses. You've got to take care of, when you're into, for example, you're into products business, you have to deal with everything. I mean, you have to deal with production, you have to be there, you have to figure out if your products are going in the right way. Maybe, of course you can hire people to do that, but a lot has to be done through the leadership itself. And that's where you have to traverse all those roles. I mean, you can be a business strategist, but at the same time you have to be on the field to really know what you need to really strategize. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to run the business successfully. Yeah,
Mhm.
someday I think, Meenakshi, we have to do the business challenges also. Maybe I think we should even invite Reema on
No,
that. But
Rashmi, what I would like to add here, it's very interesting. It's happened with me because I would like to rate my practical experience. When I was working in a shop floor in Times of India, I'm talking of when I used to tell my workers that we want to do this test trial today because it's for better production. So they would give me all sorts of reasoning that why we can't do this, just
yeah,
to put me down so that I'm not successful.
yeah,
Trust me,
yeah.
Rashmi, I had times where I used to tell all of them that you stay away. I'm going to actually ride on the press. I used to go on to the top of the press and do it myself and then tell them that this is the way I'm wanting you to do this. Which I think I'm not saying I did it, but you need to have a courage to demonstrate what you are actually wanting to tell them to do. So it
Absolutely.
needs a lot of courage. It needs a lot of confidence. Even if you fail, doesn't matter. But just do it.
Absolutely. And I think the times were very different when you would have started your career,
Right.
Yeah,
Rajashree,
right.
as well
Yeah,
as Meenakshi.
Was
So a
right.
lot of breaking of stereotypes, a lot of shattering of walls,
Yeah.
a lot of convincing, a lot of grit and determination needed, for doing. And hats off to where you all are today in life. And you,
So,
you two
so
ladies are an
really,
inspiration in your
really
space.
going back to you. I mean, a couple of questions is, who in your life has really inspired you to get up till here, and what really are your aspirations as a human resources professional ahead? Because there's so much to be done. Sky is the limit, really.
Absolutely. So I tend to seek inspirations from people in and around me, right? I tend to seek inspirations from, there are a lot of heroes out there. They don't really need to be, their stories don't really need to be sung in a big and a massive way, because each one of us have the ability to inspire. And I tend to take a lot of inspiration from people in and around me. Like I said, initial inspirations, no doubt, were my mother, my grandmother, the way they handled the home and their work life. It always seemed like a breeze to me. It never seemed like a Herculean task. It is only when I got onto that stage did I realize it is an absolute Herculean task. I don't know how these women really managed it. So that, friends, a lot of my friends who have absolutely, kind of empowered me and given me, inspired me in their own way. Um, uh, my mentors at work, there are a lot of women out there who kind of give you enough and more inspiration to kind of achieve what you really want to do. In terms of what I want to do going forward, I think yes, to obviously scale up and get better and better day in and day out. And in doing what I'm doing currently, obviously kind of be a more prolific name in the industry, kind of be there to touch more lives, to impact more lives, and to kind of positively shape people's lives and have the ability to do that. I think that is something that I really dream and aspire. Apart from that, I think just be a good soul, just be good to people, and just keep getting better at what I'm doing day in and day out.
I mean, so all the best to you, Rima.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Well,
so much for all your wishes, and this was absolutely fantastic.
it was
Connecting and learning so much from the two of you.
totally, and
Pleasure.
where
Yeah.
quite a few things. I think, Meenakshi, if you want to summarize, but a few things I'm taking back home with me, and I'm sure the viewers are, is to take conscious decisions, learn to let go. But let go doesn't mean you're not going to you're going to give up ever, and prioritize your priorities, like you said. And one very beautiful line which I'm going to keep it in my mind, and of course even borrow it and use it, is being fierce and fearless, being the
Yes.
same sides of the coin. So I mean, it's great to hear from you, to know so much. I don't want to stop this session really. There's
Same here,
so
actually.
much we can actually speak about,
Same
and the
here.
three of
We can
us.
certainly go for another hour or so, and there are enough and more stories if we kind of get to
Yes, yes.
talking. It's
Right.
probably a Pandora's box that we can open here. But yes, I'm sure time is kind of limiting us.
But this platform is really about that. It's about sharing your stories, inspiring
Yes,
people, at the same time having a great time with each other. But as a customary thing, I would want Meenakshi to sort of summarize the session, if she would do the honors and close the session as well.
Rajshri, you steal the show every time, so you don't leave anything for
Oh,
me. But yes, one thing which I think you missed out on is uh, it's I really felt good about this because most of the women who take sabbatical, they don't want to come back to career. Okay, so
okay.
Reema is a live example in front of us today. She had taken sabbatical and she's back to career, doing well in her life. So a woman, a viewer woman on the show right now, whosoever has taken sabbatical, please don't give up, because there's enough you can do in life, and you can really balance it well. If Reema can do it, I think everybody can do it. So that's
absolutely.
a key
Anyone can
message
do it.
for everybody out here, and for anybody who wants to come back. So there is a career for you guys, for you girls rather. So don't give up. So things will fall in place if you have the determination, you have a will to do it, and you know how to juggle between family, profession, and your personal life. Thank you very much, Reema. It was really interesting to know about you, and the way you handled everything, uh, the perspective you give, the matured perspective. It is, I think, it was really enlightening for every one of us on the show, and for us also, Rajvi and myself. Thank you, and keep doing
Thank you so
well.
much, ladies. I'm
So
really glad, like I said, to be a
inspiring.
part of this platform. And the idea was, even if this message kind of gets out to any one life, and it kinds of gives someone some food for thought, and perhaps brings some positive impact, then I think it's a mission well accomplished. And
Same here.
thanks to the two of you to thinking on these lines and really providing platform and this opportunity to women like me. Thank you, really
Thank you,
Superb.
appreciate it, and
Rashmi.
it's been an absolute
Great,
honor.
greatly summarized by both of you. And I think, Rima, this is just the beginning. You've been on the show the first time. We would like you to participate in more
Absolutely,
activities,
pleasure's
and
all mine.
yeah,
Pleasure's all mine. More than happy to be there at
and
any point.
feel free to take up any initiatives that you want, and we will be very happy to
So
support them as well. I would definitely want to thank the viewers, because they always come in large numbers. I mean, actually, like I was mentioning, one of our last programs almost reached. It was played once and reached 8,000 people. It was played again. It was reached now about 14,000 people. So in total, of
Wow.
one of our programs has reached that much. And believe me, it's all organic reach, and so organically reaching to so many people
lovely.
is just great. We have to keep continuing doing that, so much so that it will influence more and more number of people. So thank you, viewers, again, and thank you very, very much, both of you, for being here.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
Uh,
Thank you,
much.
Rashmi. Pleasure is
Thank you
always
so
ours.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I would
Meenakshi. Thank you, Raj.
Thank
I would also like to thank RSG Energia for always supporting these programs, helping us with the technical inputs, sharing the flyers, sharing a program in several groups, which really makes it a success. I'd like to thank Mahesh Darade, who leads the team in doing so, just playing prelude of a short advertisement of theirs.